Okay, so we're going to look at this factoring example. 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. Now to factor this, if we try any of our other techniques besides what's called the AC method, we'll see that it doesn't actually work. So we have to do what's called the AC method, and you can try factoring other ways, and it won't be able to, unfortunately, work. So the AC method, what we do is we look at this term and this term, which are sometimes called the A and C term. This is A. The 2 is the A, the 13 is the B, and the 15 is the C. They're called coefficients, but I'm just going to refer to them as the A and C term. So AC term, what that means is we multiply those two numbers. So 2 times 15, which is 30. Okay, so we know that. Now, here's where we have to think a little bit. And the question is, what can I multiply to get this 30? What two numbers multiply to give 30, but add to give me 13, my B term? Well, we could go down the different list of numbers. 15 times 2 is 30, but 15 plus 2 is 17. 10 times 3 is 30, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So our numbers here are 10 times 3 equals 30, and 10 plus 3 is equal to 13. So the fact that I'm able to get this 30 by multiplying these numbers and 13 by adding those same numbers, that means that's the numbers we're going to be working with. So I'm going to go and rewrite this guy down here as 2x squared, so that doesn't change. But here's where it changes a little bit. Instead of writing plus 13x, I'm going to write plus 10x plus 3x. I'm going to bring down the 15. So I didn't change anything, right? 10x plus 3x is still 13x. 10 plus 3 is still 13. But I rewrote it in a way that I can use factoring by grouping. And the way that we do that is we just separate these guys a little bit here like this. And then we factor these individually. So we just break them up into different groups. If I look at this term here, what do those two numbers have in common? The 2x squared plus 10x. What can I factor out? Well, they both have an x in it, right? This has x squared, and this has 1x, so I can factor out an x. But 2 and 10 also go into each other, so I can factor out a 2. So I can factor out a 2x total. And if I were to factor out a 2x, I'll be left with just one more x because there's an x squared, and then plus 5 because we factored out this x, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then we can do the same thing on the other side. Well, 3 goes into 3x, but 3 also goes into 15. So I can factor out a 3. If I factor out a 3, I'll be left with an x and now a plus 5. Because 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now this is actually a good check because we get x plus 5 for both of them, and you should. That's a good sign that we did it right. And all we do to finish the factoring process is we write that number that shows up twice, so x plus 5, and then we multiply it by these two numbers here. So what is this, 2x plus 3? And then this is our factored form. We can check this by distributing x times 2x is 2x squared. Oh. Plus 3x. X times 3 is 3x. 5 times 2x is plus 10x. And 5 times 3 is just 15, which is just 2x squared. 3x plus 10x, those are the same, so I can add them. That's 13x plus 15. And we did this right because this is exactly what we started with, right? So this bit right here, I'll rewrite it a little nicer. This is our factored form. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Just to go through it one more time. We look at what we have. There's a lot of methods to factoring, but try what you might. They're not, all the other ways of factoring will not work. You take your front and back, your A and your C, and you multiply them to get 30. From there, we need to see what multiplies to give us 30 and adds to give us that other term in the middle, the B coefficient, which is 13. And we found that 10 times 3 is 30 and 10 plus 3 is 13. So once we do that, we rewrite it. Instead of 13x, we do 10x plus 3x. And then we separate them. We group them into these two groups. Once we have them grouped, we look at each group and see what each term has. Each term has a 2 in it for the first one, and each term has an x in it. After that, they have nothing in common, so that's the most I can do. And on the other group on the right, the only thing they have in common is a 3. 3 goes into 3x once, and 3 goes into 15 5 times. So we're left with 2x times x plus 5 plus 3 times x plus 5. And then all we do is we look, and whatever repeats is part of our solution, so x plus 5. And then we take those numbers that we factored out, in this case 2x plus 3, and we put that down there as well for our factored form. And then after that, we just checked. We just FOILed it to double check. So that's how we do those. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.